Hi, folks, and welcome to our Sunday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt, and Benjamin is out. For the next couple of weeks, Benjamin will be out. He's in a show right now. I'm super happy he got to make episode 400. He didn't have practice that day, so he was able to make it. As much as he's put in, as much of the work he's put in. Just to tell you something, CJ, it was always good to have him on. He's always fun to have on. I wish you could have him on more, and I am the reason he's not on anymore because we used to record these on Saturday mornings. Actually, Saturday morning, they'd come over. This is back before I had any kids, and we'd record the podcast. It used to be an hour long for anyone who knows back in the day. Me, Mikey, and CJ started it, and just had a great time. And Mikey can't do these because his schedule is always out of whack. And again, my fault. I moved the episode 400. The last Saturday was one of the busiest Saturdays I've had all year round. So embarrassingly enough, I could not do it in the morning. I wanted to do Saturday morning Samoflange episode 400, of course, in the morning where it should be, and could not. And then even when I'd set the date, and here's the crazy thing, I could have sworn I put that date up on YouTube. And I was panicking the whole time. I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to change the date on YouTube because I had to set a reminder. Well, then I realized there was no reminder. You know, I just forgot to set it all. So I was like, oh good, so I can push it back. So I pushed it back, but then Mikey had something going on. Now here's the thing. Could he have made an hour earlier? Maybe, but he probably would have had to leave early. His schedule is he sets his own hours, but his schedule is kind of all over the place, and it makes it hard to get a regular schedule out of Mikey right now. I love having Mikey on. I try to have him on as much as I can. I'd like to have, like I said, I'd like to have him on a lot more, but it just hasn't happened for one reason or the other. And of course, sadly, he couldn't make episode 400. I really wish he could have been there for the big one, but that's okay. Again, more my fault than his. He's not the one with the conflict schedules. I am. Saturdays generally is too busy a day for me to do anything, which is why, I don't record on Saturdays anymore. Only on the special 100th episode of one is the only time I'm really able to do one. And then, of course, that Saturday just happens to be the only time CJ can do it. We were always doing it on Saturdays. He had a kid before I did, and it kind of ate up his regular days. So he could only do Saturdays. Saturday was really his best day, which it's kind of funny because Saturday is my worst day. Absolute worst. You can't get a hold of me over the weekend. And CJ, if I was to do it every Saturday, CJ would be there. In fact, the few times CJ has been on, I have been able to record on Saturdays. Very rarely do I have to do that. But when I can, CJ can always be there. So maybe I should kind of sacrifice some of my time, which everyone's sacrificing their time to come to me. But maybe I should sacrifice some of my time. But it just gets a little loud and rowdy like it was at the beginning of episode 400 when I had cranky, tired kids. And usually they're screaming, fighting kids if they're not cranky. But so I'd love to have CJ on more. It's just my schedule and his schedule just aren't matching up. Of course, the missus, when she said it was going to be her last one, so many years ago, she has never come back. She's gotten the invitation to every single one of these special ones and other ones we've done that I thought she'd be good at. She'd have some good things to say. She's been invited to several Saturday morning Samoflanges to come contribute, but unfortunately, she is, like she said at the beginning, she's done after that last one. She wasn't coming back. She hasn't yet. And then, of course, Step, the other part-timer who I do miss a lot there, he doesn't live anywhere near here anymore. He lives in Florida now, so can't have him, but would love to if he ever came back in. I'd do a special stream for, a podcast time for him because, oh man, it'd be so good to have sweet daddy stepdaddy back in the studios again. But anyway, it's just me. It will be just me for at least a couple of weeks now. I even forgot to ask Benjamin how long this is going to be, but I did have some topics, and I'm going to save some topics for later, but one of the topics, if you saw me during episode 400, and I'm sorry, by the way, another thing is, I never got to record 400 for iTunes. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for that. Everyone's going to be like, oh, listen to iTunes, and I didn't hear your number one, and yeah, I'm sorry. That's all my fault. It was way too busy on a Saturday. Like I said, kids screaming. I was good enough just to get what I got in there in time. and really didn't have the time to hit record and set all that up. I barely made it to there on my even extended launch date. I barely made that one. So for me, set up a recording, everything wasn't going to happen, and I totally forgot for Prince of the Universe. So none of it really came to pass. So if you wanted episode 400, it's just now exclusive on YouTube, and I am sorry for that. I did mean to record them on both. But in that video, CJ was telling his cop story, the time he felt awesome was running away from the cops and getting away with it. And I thought about that, and I thought, dang, I kind of have a top 5 on cop interactions there that I'd like to talk about. And now that I'm saying this, now I have to make one of these an honorable mention. This is the honorable mention. Because this other one I have, I just thought of another one. Yes. That is great. Oh, man, I just thought of another one, too. Oh, my goodness. That's probably honorable mention, though. Oh, my goodness. So last minute. Doing some last minute stuff here. All right, so now I've got to rearrange everything again. Dadgummit. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I thought of some more moments there with cops. Yeah, I guess I've had a couple of run-ins with the cops here. Now I've known a lot of cops here. I've been friends with a bunch of them. And for a short time, a few of them used to hang out at my house on their runs. They'd stop by, take a bathroom break, drink some sodas. I don't have alcohol, so sodas. And we'd talk for just a little while. Or I'd come out and talk at their car, and we just kind of hang out just for a little while when they were doing their patrols, because I was friends with a bunch of them way back in the day. Now I know one now. I know one cop, and we don't really hang out. His little kid, my little girls go to his little boy's birthday party once a year. And that's about it. He would know me if he saw me. In fact, he is part of these top 5 stories. But I'll do the 2 honorable mentions. One was running from the cops. It was actually a sheriff, actually. I was out in the country. This is back before GPS. There was road maps, and a lot of these maps were not that good. And I was getting so ticked off. I worked for appraisers. I was supposed to take a picture of a house out in the sticks. I went out to a place. I still don't remember where this place was. It went from a dirt road to grass, like 2 tire tracks down grass road, and down this grass valley. I was just going down just a trail at this point. I was way off-road. It went from gravel to dirt to just grass. And I really thought, I said, this map has to be wrong. And sure enough, there were like 5 or 6 houses around this lake. But it was grass. They didn't even get a road out to. There was no road. There was no dirt road to them. I mean, we're talking way out in the sticks here. And so I'd always be cussing up a storm because I could not figure out. I mean, the maps were very bad back then. Road maps weren't as detailed out in the country and the sticks and stuff. So you really had to play guessing games, meaning they had the street, but it was in the wrong location. So the map makers were bad. There's a town here called Grambling. And when they handed me their city map, just about everything but the main road was wrong. I went back and showed them. I said, this is not this. I said, oh, we need to fix it. That's right. They've never looked at the map before. But I mean, seriously, every road was wrong, just about for Grambling. But these other little, they're not towns, they're just rural areas, and maps were just super, super bad back then. And I was so mad because it would take me hours sometimes to find the house. And here's the thing, they paid me by the hour, and they just didn't want to do it. The appraisers didn't want to track down the house. So if they saw it was rural, no, we'll pay Matt to go do it. And I was a runner for several appraisers. I had fun. I wanted to be an appraiser for years. No one would give me the shot. They always passed me up for the young, just married guy who didn't have a job and really needed some work. And so they give it to him because he has a wife. He's going to start a family soon. Or maybe he has one kid right now. He's starting a family. He needs it more than you. I heard that at least 3 times, 4 times maybe, working for the appraisers. They'd always give it to someone else. I was like, I want to do it, but no one. And then I got too expensive is what one told me. And I still rag him to this day about it. We're still friends. But I was just too expensive for him because I was charging a lot because Kinzel who was kind of the big boss over everyone, he asked me how much I was charging, and I can't remember, it was like $10 an hour. He was like, does that include gas? And I went, well, I guess. He went, oh, Matt, no way, man. He said, you're running through $10 a game. He said, $30 what you charge now. I said, 30, and everyone used me but one. He was not going to pay $30 an hour for me. Now the thing is, that's basically, I'd work for him for like 2 hours. I did work for Kinzel and Robert. Those were the two guys I was paid to work for, but everyone else had to rent me out for $30 an hour. After maybe a week or two of doing $10 an hour. I didn't know. I mean, and by the way, gas wasn't that expensive. It was like $1 a gallon or something, 99 cents a gallon. It was really cheap back then. But he's right, driving all the time. I'm burning through half a gallon, making $5 an hour maybe. So $30 is what he set my price at, and then everyone kept hiring me because obviously they're making hundreds of dollars for what I'm doing for them. So they'd give me about $30, $50, $60, what, $45. There's a lot of $45 in there. But their runs weren't very tall, but they didn't want to go out and waste an hour and a half or wherever looking for this house because back then GPS didn't exist. So I would run for them, and one guy just thought it was too expensive. But I really wanted to be an appraiser. Anyway, I'm so mad. I'm going down a dirt road. I don't know where anything. No, it's a paved road. There's a two-way road. Oh, just a little old road. Cop passes me. Sheriff passes me. Flashes his lights because I am zooming down that street because I'm so mad. And then he's trying to find a spot to turn around and chase me down. Well, of course, I just gun it even more, like CJ did. I gunned it even more, turned down the first street I could find, turned down that one, just was winding down little country roads. Thankfully there was no dust trail. It had recently rained, but my tracks, I thought maybe he's going to pick up my tracks. And so I kept going. Then I found a house, just like in the middle of nowhere. I sped up in that house, pulled into the driveway, hit it in park, killed the ignition, and ducked down and waited and waited and waited. Heard the siren. Never saw him. I lost him. So I sat there for about 15 minutes or so, then turned on the engine. Maybe it was 20 minutes. Turned on the engine, was backing out. Just happened to look at the mailbox, and it was the house I needed to take a picture of. There's no way. It was nowhere near where the map said it was. And I had just found it. I had pulled into its garage, in fact. So I went back, took pictures, and laughed about it, and came back and told the appraiser how I found his house. He started laughing too. So that was a good moment, but not my top 5, I'd say. Well, maybe it should be. I don't know. I've kind of thrown a few things in here, haphazard. I was in one wreck where this lady was hitting in reverse. I came around a corner, and she was backing up because she missed her turn, and I was shocked. I maybe could have avoided it, but I was like, I yelled, I went, ah! And then I hit my pedal and ran right into her because she was backing up. And I was like, there's no way a cop's going to believe me that she was backing up, because it looks like she was trying to turn, and I rammed her because it looked like I wouldn't be paying attention, even though I came around the turn. And so I told her, I said, hey, were you trying to back up in that street? She went, yeah, and you hit me. This lady's ready to go. I'll sue. She's cussing me. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you. I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry. Were you trying to back up to get in that? She's like, yes, I was, and you hit me. I said, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am, I did. And then the cop came, and I was like, please don't change your story. Please don't change your story. And she goes, I'm going to sue him. I'm going to sue him. I'm going to sue him. Get me an ambulance. I'm going to sue him. And he goes, okay, what happened? I said, well, she was backing up to get into this lane. When I came around, she was in reverse going up, and I ran into her. He went, that's right. He hit me. I'm going to sue you. And then the cop looks at her and went, ma'am, were you in reverse? And she was like, yep, I was. I was in reverse, pulling back, and to get in that tree. And then he came around and hit me. And then the cop looks at me and goes, you can go. Like that, he knew immediately I was off the hook. That was it. It was done. It was done at that point. Because when she admitted that was it. In fact, she still tried to sue me. But the judge threw it out. Because it was her fault. The wreck was her fault. But she still tried to sue me. I had a court order to appeal, a subpoena. I had to appear in traffic court. And, of course, the judge had thrown it out before I'd even got there. So, what a bozo there. Number 5 happens to be not in a car. The rest of these, I think, are in cars. Yes, they are. But this one is not in a car. My brother and I we were in Pensacola, Florida. That's where our family used to vacation every year. There was something called the Bushwhacker Festival, and we always wanted to go, but we were too little. Well, back as we were growing up and I had my own license, I was driving down to Pensacola now on my own, and I told my brother, I said, I want to go to Bushwhacker Festival tonight. You want to go? He's like, yeah, let's go. So we'd never been. So no one else wanted to go, but me and my brother went, and we had a great time. We went in. It was crowded with people on the beach. There were alternating stages. So when one band would sing, they'd set up the other band. So there's no break in between. It was super smart. So that band, the 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it takes to switch out bands and stuff like that, get equipment unplugged and everything. No, they were already doing that while the other band was playing. So it switched stages. And I remember I remember their name too. It's called Bag of Donuts was their name. And they just played a bunch of, cover songs, but they were great. They were a lot of fun. Well, me and my brother loved mosh pitting back then. We said, hey, let's mosh pit. So we started a big mosh pit, and we were just boom, 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 slamming into each other, having a great time. Well, every once in a while, and I hated these people, but there were people sitting on the edge of the mosh pit. They didn't want to get pushed around. They didn't want to get shoved, but they did like throwing an elbow or a punch and then running back out. So these two guys were just laughing, going in there, throwing elbows, throwing punches at people, and then quickly jumping out because they were on the edge of it because they didn't want to get hit. And I said, okay, all right, next time. I saw him do it. I said, next time I'm going up to him. And so he did, and I ran across the mosh pit, slugged him, took him down, one punch. Yes, I did assault someone, I guess. I went, boom! I said, how's that feel? I said, you want to be all up in you want to throw punches in the mosh pit, but you don't want to be part of it. That's what you get. I'm trash talking over his head. Well, then someone grabs me by the wrist, pulls me up, pulls up by my back, and I'm thinking, oh crap, his friend. I forgot about his friend. And I rear back to throw an elbow at this guy, and it's a cop. And he's got me and my brother, because my brother had come over and because I pointed at him. We both bum rushed, I guess both the guys. And so they were taking us out, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, we are going to jail. My mom's going to be pissed, And the cop just took us out and threw us out. And he's like, you guys are gone. You can't come back here. They weren't going to worry with arrest right now. And it was a mosh pit. And yeah, they probably knew what was going on. But yeah, you got to go. We're like, oh man. And so my brother goes, well, wait a minute. He said, how would they know what we look like? And so we waited a few minutes, entered into another way, and went back into the concert. Well, then, I don't know how, but those cops spotted us, and they started coming for us. I was like, oh, Bray, they're coming this way. And we ran. I remember we ran to a club and hid there, and we lost them. And we were just going to try to just get out. But we were at the club, and they had, like, cages, and people were dancing, women were dancing in cages and stuff. It wasn't a strip club. But everyone was dancing and stuff, and my brother was dancing, and this girl comes up to me and say, hey, you want to dance? And my brother goes, no. And it was so funny. I started laughing. I didn't catch. I was like, oh, this girl's asking him if he wants to dance. And my brother goes, no, and right in her face. And I started laughing so hard. I didn't expect that to come. And so we had a great night. But yeah, Pensacola's best almost took us in. So those are my two honorable mentions. Let's get to my number 5. No, that was my number 5. Excuse me. Number 5 was that one, Bushwhacker Festival. Number 4, all these are in the car. This is the most recent one. At work, there's 5 buildings in a city block area that's all owned by my company. And inside of those blocks is a few stop signs, just to go from one street to the next. It's still with the only people driving those streets are employees of the company or delivery people. That's it. No one else is driving those streets. And they have stop signs. And they're basically just parking lot stop signs, and they're not big. Well, what our city does is they put a cop out there, and he waits to see if anyone's going to blow by one of the parking lot signs, and he's going to hit us. And they love doing this. They've been doing it for years. Now they've kind of backed away. I noticed they sit on the other a block down because they know, I guess they were told to cut it out. But I rolled through a parking lot stop sign like everyone does and turned left and went to get on the main road. And that's when he hit his lights and came up behind me. I was like, what? And it was the one cop I knew, Aaron. And he came up. He didn't know it was me. And I stuck my head in and I said, Aaron, is this a trap? You trying to trap me? He's like, what are you doing? Oh, Matt, get out of here. Get out of here. And he walks. I said, no, you come back here. I said, I said, you guys been hanging out here trying to get traffic stops, and I was like, you gotta stop that. And maybe it was Aaron. Maybe it wasn't my company who told him to lay off. Maybe Aaron took that back to his chief and goes, hey, chief, that's really not fair. We should stop it. But that was funny because that was the easiest ticket I ever got I taught myself out of. I've taught myself out of several tickets. I have received 0 speeding tickets, and I've been pulled over for speeding 1,000,000 times. It gets reduced to either usually a seatbelt ticket is what I get taught down to. But speeding, running red lights several times, and never gotten a traffic ticket for those. It's always turned into a seatbelt violation. Number 3 is one back in my college days. There was a gravel parking lot at 6 in the morning, way before anyone had class. I would go in there and I'd spin donuts. I just spin out and just do donuts in the parking lot. And I'm an idiot. It wore down my tires. And I was always having to buy new tires. And I was so mad. I was like, man, these tires are cheap. How come they keep getting worn down? Well, dummy, you're spinning donuts in a gravel driveway. Not every morning, but definitely on Friday mornings. And whatever morning I got up early enough, I'd like to wake up early, go to the parking lot, and spin donuts before anyone came in. And it cost me several thousands of dollars because I'm a moron in tires. And I remember a cop came and he drove by. Then he drove by again, hit his lights, and came into the parking lot. And I got in my car. He's like, what are you doing? I went, spinning donuts. What's it look like? He went, you can't do that. I went, dude, it's a park lot. There's no one here. He went, he said, I don't care. Don't do that again. And drove off. It was a funny thing because I really thought, I was mad. I was like, what is he going to do? I wasn't speeding. I'm not doing anything illegal. But I was like, I remember I raised my hands up going, I'm spinning donuts. What's it look like? Like, what do you want? Like he was the moron when it was really me the whole time. So, fun situation there. Number 2, probably one of my favorites. I used to count the number when I first got my ticket, my driver's license. My goal was to run 100 red lights. I far exceeded that. I wanted to break the law, and I counted my yellow lights too, which wasn't a big deal. But I remember I had way more yellow lights than red. But I'd count the red lights. And if it was turning red as I was going under it, that counted too. But I always tried to run as many reds as I could because I felt like, I have a driver's license now. I'm going to break the rules. I don't know why. That was a really stupid thing to do. Well, this was a few years past that, okay? So I am late to a softball game. And I'm upset because I've just forgotten about it, and I'm trying to get there. And, of course, the light turns red. I'm like, you know what? I got to go. And I go right in front of the cop. The cop was right there. In fact, I just pulled over. I saw him as I crossed over and pulled over to the side. And sure enough, when his light, he hit his lights, turned right behind me. I was like, dang it. So I got my stuff ready. He went, you know why I pulled you over? I said, yes, sir. He's like, why's that? I said, I ran that red light. He's like, uh-huh. He's like, you sure did. And he goes, he said, where are you headed to? I said, softball game. He goes, okay. He said, what time is it? What time's the game? I said, now. He went, oh, okay. So you thought you'd save a little time by running a red light, huh? I said, no, sir. Actually, I said, I don't like those guys. They hardly let me play. And so, but the truth is, I saw the light turn red, and I just didn't want to stop. And he paused and looked at me. And there was this quiet, tense moment. I said, man, I know a lot of cops. They get lied to all the time, so I'm just not going to lie to you. And he started laughing. He said, who do you know? And I named several cops, and one of them he knew. He went, how you know Branson? How you know Branson? How you know him? I said, he was my roommate back in the day. I said, he's still working up in my... He said, oh, no, I know him. He's still there. Yeah, I know him. And we were laughing and everything. And I was fine getting the ticket. Like, at this point, I was like, this guy's cool. He's just, hey, I knew I was at fault. He goes, all right, man, go and get out of here. I was like, seriously? He went, yeah, go on. I was like, all right. And so I drove off. Name saved me there. Name dropping. Which never happens now, but name dropping happened then. Helped me then. And then the number one. The number one was one of my favorite ones. It's the one I feel awful about. I just got a new transmission for my car, and I was testing it out, and I'm pumping the gas, and I'm revving it up to make sure it'll switch gears and everything, because I just got it and I wanted to test it out because the transmission had been fixed a couple of times and it wasn't working, so they had to get me a new one, and I was making sure this new one was working. Well, I wasn't looking. It was in one of those little country highways where it'll drop 20 miles per hour and you're going 65, then all of a sudden it's 45. It's a speed trap is what it is. So I didn't realize I would run through one of those. I was going 65 still, revving up my engine, keeping going, and I was looking down at the speedometer, and I didn't even notice I was in a 45. In fact, when the cop pulled me up, I was like, what's going on? He's like, you're doing 65 and at 45. I went, oh. I said, look, man. I said, look, I said, I believe you. That's true. I said, but look, and I grabbed the paperwork. I went, I just got my transmission fixed today, right now. And I showed him the receipt. I said, and I was trying to make sure this thing was switching gears. And I'll be honest, I was looking at the speedometer, making sure it downshifted when it could, because this is the third time I've taken it to him and it hasn't worked, and I had to pay for a new one, so I'm just making sure it works. I said, "Now you're right. I was driving fast." I said that was the real reason. And he saw the date, he saw the transmission, he saw the amount that I already paid for it. And he goes, "All right, hold on, let me check up." Then he came back. He's like, "All right, man. Well, look, I'm gonna hit you for." And I just bought the car, is what it was, and that's what it was. I just bought the car from the mechanic, and the transmission wasn't working, and I had to keep giving it to him. So I had a temporary tag in the window. He's like, I'm going to just mark you for temporary tag violation. He said it's not going to hurt you that much. He said, but that way you just pay that, and that'll be fine. I said, we'll call it even. I said, all right. So my temporary tag, obscuration of a temporary tag is what it was. Like he couldn't see it. And I remember this is the town of Sterlington, and I went to pay the bill. And whatever the code was, the lady looked at it and went, what is this for? She went, what? Obscuring of a temp tag? She's like, and she looked at me, she went, you have a temporary tag? I went, yeah. I said, where is it? I said, my back window. She went, let me see. And she got up and she went, And she went and got in the mayor, and she showed the mayor, his tag is clearly seen. He wrote an obscuring license, and I don't want to blow my cover. I don't want to say, no, actually, he pulled me over for speeding, and he was doing me a favor. And so the mayor comes out of the office. He goes, hey, I'm the mayor here. I'm so sorry about this. We're going to talk to this guy. I said, no. I said, it's fine. I said, to be honest, I said, when the light hits it, it wasn't getting shown much. I don't mind, because I was like so scared. I was like, oh, no. He went, no, I won't hear of it. You're not paying anything. He said, I've already gotten rid of the ticket. He said, we're calling in that cop. He said, I'm going to tell him, I've told him not to do this type of stuff. And I was like, okay. And I walked out, and I was so embarrassed, because I know that guy's going to be like, ooh, I gave that guy a pass, and he went after me. I guarantee you. That is what he was saying. I have no doubt. Let's see. That would probably be my number one. So those are all my cop stories. By the way, for years I tried to avoid that town just in case he was looking for my car. That was a stupid thing, but that was the truth. So in the comments below, what was the times that you had when you had a run-in with the popo? Now, I've had run-ins that weren't nice and nothing was funny about them. I find a lot of police to be lazy around here, lazy or just plain mean. One lady, my car went dead, and the lady cop said, here, put it in neutral, I'll help you push it off. So I'm pushing it. We push off the road. I'm trying to push up this driveway into a Popeyes, and it is, I'm feeling weak. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing as hard as I can. I find out she's already left me. She just wanted off the road. She wasn't going to push it into the parking lot for me. She got back in her car and left, and I was pushing that car by myself. I was like, oh, no wonder it was so heavy. So, I mean, a lot of times my interactions with cops are jerks and whatnot, but those are 5 funny times. So is there a funny time you had a run-in with the police? And are your police nicer than mine? Mine aren't that nice anymore. They're very mean. bullies, no doubt. And the state police, even worse. Anyway, I digress. All right, folks, that's it. I'll see you next week on Saturday Morning Samoflange.